Hey guys, so today's video is on how to spend your rubies in King's Raid. So King's Raid is a very generous game with regards to giving out rubies, the premium currency of the game. Getting rubies is fairly simple. You get them every day from your daily rewards. For example, if you finish all your dailies, you get 30, and just for logging in, you get another 20. You get 250 a week from finishing the weeklies. And then there are various event missions and other things that you can do to get rubies. You get some from the 28-day calendars. You get some for beating a stage for the first time. You'll get rubies for the first clear. So you can see I get 20 rubies for the first clear of this hell mode stage. And you get rubies from doing the world boss every week, from doing arena every week. There are lots of ways to get rubies in King's Raid. However, just like with any currency, there are optimal ways to spend rubies. So the ways to spend rubies in King's Raid are also fairly numerous. You've got the special shop where you can buy heroes. You can pay for special summons, 250 for one or 2500 for 10 plus a bonus one. There are occasionally special deals that they offer for rubies. And that's just the special shop. You can also use it to loot boost normal stages. You can use it to loot boost in the upper dungeon. You can use it to reset the upper dungeon, the Stockade. The uses are numerous. So first I'll get at the traps out of the way. There are a few things you do not want to do with your rubies. Number one is the gacha. King's Raid is kind of unique in that you don't want to roll the gacha at all unless there's an event going on. And even if there's an event going on, you generally don't want to spend rubies for it unless you need to spend rubies in order to reach the next tier of reward for the event. For example, if there's a 20 10 times summon event going on and you've got 15 of these 10 summon tickets saved up, then using the next 25,000 rubies to get all 20 rewards is not a bad idea. Similarly, if there's a double rate up for brand new heroes that have just come out, and you'd like to get a unique weapon for one of them because you really like them, then it's also a good idea to use 10 times summons at that point. But it is not a good idea ever to really use 10 times summons during normal days when there's no events, no rate ups, or anything like that. Similarly, you also do not want to use rubies to buy new heroes. It's not terribly difficult to get a new hero, just using the heroes in, the occasional selector tickets that Vespa gives us, and basically free summons that will occasionally be given out. If you really do want a hero, though, heroes are not traps in the same way others are. In fact, I buy new heroes somewhat regularly, just because I'm not fully free to play. I do earn a decent amount of rubies every month, and I can use those rubies to get new heroes that really catch my eye, such as Ezekiel and Requina. So getting new heroes with rubies is not a great idea, but if you really want a hero, don't let the fact that it costs 6,000 rubies kind of stop you from buying them. Go for it. Getting your waifu is definitely a lot more important than just saving 6,000 rubies. Now on to the good stuff. Oh, and of course, never ever use rubies to refill stamina or gold. That's kind of common knowledge in a lot of gachas, but some gachas actually you do want to do that. King's Raid is not one of them. Do not use rubies to refill stamina or gold in King's Raid. So the best things you can do with rubies are really resetting the upper dungeon. Every day you can do your upper dungeon. 5 runs of every single upper dungeon there is that you have currently unlocked. So if I open my portal here, you can see that I've got 5 runs of all of them, and I haven't used any of them. Now, once you get to 0 runs, you have the option to spend 100 rubies to get 5 more runs. And then if you use those 5 runs, it'll be 200 rubies, 400 rubies, 800, and so on and so forth, doubling every time. Now, this is a very worthwhile thing to do. In fact, not just recharging it, but also when you go there, loot boosting the upper dungeon as well. So if you use 100 rubies, you can loot boost 5 times, which doubles the amount of fragments you'll get from the upper dungeon. And then if you reset it and loot boost again, you're doubling that number as well. So it costs a number of rubies, but it's not too much. 100 rubies to reset once, and 100 rubies times 2, so 200 if you want to loot boost both times. And I would recommend loot boosting both times because it's the same number of rubies to loot boost as it is to reset the dungeon. I would only do this on the highest dungeon you can clear, and I wouldn't do this before at least the 5th, if not the 6th dungeon, just because it's not really worth it in terms of rubies to fragments spent up until that point. But that is probably the best way for a mid to late game player to spend their rubies. After that, you can also reset Conquest, but I really wouldn't reset Conquest too much unless you really desperately want to get your heroes up to up to 80 as fast as possible. And if you're going to do that, I would only reset on the Hell levels, and I would really only reset once you can on the Chapter 7 Hell level. The problem is once you can do Chapter 7 Hell level, you probably have level 80 units already, so it's kind of pointless to reset there, but resetting the Hell levels for 1 through 5 once for 100 rubies each is not a terrible idea if you absolutely want to get units to 80. If you can be a little patient though, I would recommend not doing so and just saving your rubies for Upper Dungeon. Finally, there's the Stockade, and the Stockade is just the same thing as the Upper Dungeon is. You cannot loot boost the Stockade, but you can reset it for 100, 200, 400, and so on rubies. If you have units that are part of your main party, so your initial party of 4, if you have units in that initial party that do not have maxed out skills, so for example Maria here does not have maxed out skills, and you really want to make your party stronger, maxing out their skills is a very quick way to increase the strength of your team. I wouldn't spend more than the first 2 resets, maybe 3 at most if it's your best DPS unit and you really need to max out their best skill, but spending rubies on the Stockade is not a bad idea. For endgame players, it's not really necessary because after a certain point, you kind of have so many skill books because the Stockade happens every day, so you get 60 books per class every week, and you don't get a new unit every week usually as an endgame player. So those are really the best way to spend rubies. You can also spend rubies to reset the arena if you're really competitive, but that's not something early or mid-game players need to worry about, just because they're not going to be able to get up to the upper ranks of arena where you need all the wins you can get, where spending rubies is necessary to get the better rewards. In fact, as an earlier mid-game player, just using your 3 per day, maybe a bit more if you want to climb to platinum as fast as possible for the daily rewards, is really the best thing you can do, and just ignore rubies spent on the arena at first. Finally, the last thing that you can spend rubies on that's actually very worthwhile is at the forge. You can use rubies to reforge equipment. So if you have a piece of equipment that has 3 perfect substats and you're looking to give it another really nice substat, you can go to the forge and you can try to reroll the substats to what you want. You can only reroll 1 of the 4 options, and it'll cost 100 rubies for the first roll, 200, 400, just like Upper Dungeon and Stockade. So what's recommended is that once you start getting T7 Dragon Gear, specifically Black or Ice Dragon if you need them, if you get items with 3 perfect rolls, so attack, attack speed, crit, crit damage, and occasionally lifesteal, penetrate, and penetration, use 100 rubies to try and roll the 4th one into a perfect or semi-perfect option, such as the missing one of attack, attack speed, crit, and crit damage, or a semi-perfect thing such as lifesteal or penetration that is needed for your build. This will allow you to make your team a lot stronger, but I would not recommend going above 200 rubies because after that, you're really just kind of shooting yourself in the foot and spending way more rubies than are really required, as you can technically farm these perfect pieces of gear. For example, I've got a perfect orb somewhere. Who's using the perfect orb right now? Right here. So this is a perfect orb that I managed to roll crit damage onto after it had 3 perfect, and this is what you're kind of aiming for with this. Technically, you can also reroll Maze Shot, but that's not really something you need to worry about unless you're like a super whale that really needs something from her shop. You can reset the list for 25 rubies. It's not something I recommend doing, but the option is there. Anyways, guys, those are the optimal ways to spend rubies in Black Desert. Hope this video was helpful for you. Subscribe if you like it, and have a good one.